Why do so many Brazilians die in traffic accidents? Does the country have the world's most dangerous roads?
Is Brazil out of step with the rest of the world?
A culture of leniency towards traffic violations.
Brazil, home to 123 million vehicles, it's the fourth deadliest country in the world when it comes to traffic fatalities. In absolute numbers, Brazil lands right behind India, China, and the European Union. To put that into perspective, 4 people die every hour in accidents here. While the UN has called traffic accidents in Latin America a silent pandemic, the situation on the streets of Brazil has only gotten worse since 2019.
We've convinced ourselves that dying or being injured in traffic is a natural occurrence. In Brazil, around 120 people die every day in traffic. Imagine a plane crash every day, killing over 100 people. By day 3, the aviation sector would be paralyzed.
In the last 6 years, Brazilian roads have become less safe, and that's even with the COVID-19 pandemic, when a lot of people stayed home and with the National Traffic Safety Plan in place. The cost to the public health system for hospitalizations from road accidents has also gone up. Most of these accidents happen on city streets, and the number of deaths just keeps on rising, slowly, steadily, and seemingly inevitably.
Our legislation is considered to be among the best in the world, with a super well-structured traffic code that's over 25 years old. But we have deficiencies in the application of this legislation. People aren't aware of the risks they're taking, and on the other hand, they don't feel the effect of enforcement.
And that can lead to anarchy and chaos on the streets due to some people driving however they want.
Is Brazil out of step with the rest of the world? No. Brazil is similar to countries that are in similar socio-economic situations. But Brazil also has some very particular difficulties. We have a federal democracy with a high degree of municipal autonomy. In fact, it's so high that I believe the main players in road safety in Brazil are the local authorities. Without a doubt.
A not untypical scene in São Paulo. Heavy rain, heavy traffic, and drivers trying to find a gap to get home as fast as they can. A motorcyclist taking a shortcut on the sidewalk. And a driver blocking the zebra crossing after stopping too late at a red traffic light. São Paulo is a sprawling metropolis of 11 million people, plus 10 million vehicles, almost one for every resident, which makes getting from A to B a daily challenge. In 2024, more than 1,000 people died in traffic here, the highest number in a decade. What explains the increase in accidents?
I think people not watching out more for pedestrians might be one factor. I wouldn't say that it's any single factor, but I also think that it's due to the increase in the number of motorbikes.
Public transport isn't cheap and the quality isn't good. That's just inviting people to buy a cheap motorbike.
Let me take an example here from my city, São José dos Campos. Today, most hospital beds are occupied by motorcyclists who've been in traffic accidents. Why is that? When these people gained access to this individual means of transport, specifically motorcycles, they were brought into the traffic context without adequate preparation.
In São Paulo, the number of motorcycles on the road increased from 830,000 to almost 1.3 million between 2014 and 2024. The two-wheelers even now have a dedicated lane. And that's not all. People who walk around the city are also at risk when the urban planners get the street layout wrong. Architect Josemere Leite shows us a corner in São Paulo where the problem is very obvious.
Take this avenue, for example. There's a steady stream of traffic. It's a relatively wide road, which makes it more unsafe. And the waiting time for pedestrians at the traffic lights is really long. There's a subway station nearby and a bus lane on one side. You really have to give priority to pedestrians because there's a constant flow of people.
But in many places across Brazil, it's cars that enjoy priority. And at the same time, the megacities of Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo are faced with serious congestion on a daily basis. Extreme fatal accidents are reported throughout the country. Yet nothing changes. Sergio Avaleda previously served as the Secretary of Mobility and Transportation for the city of São Paulo. He believes that for a traffic death to occur, various things have to go wrong.
It's not a coincidence. A fatality is the result of public policy mistakes or omissions.
Speed, combined with alcohol consumption, is one of the leading causes of accidents. One of the victims of this deadly combination was Marina Harkot. She was hit and killed in São Paulo in 2020 while riding her bicycle. Her death triggered a major debate about drunk driving. It became a political issue, and Marina herself became a posthumous symbol of misguided traffic policy. Her husband, Felipe Borato, is the co-founder of the Pedal Like Marina campaign, calling for better road safety.
Marina introduced me to both São Paulo and cycling. And I'm proud to say that even today, when I'm in some places that I don't walk around that much, her voice comes to me saying, "Oh, there's such and such a street that you can go up."
Felipe believes São Paulo has become even more dangerous since Marina Harkot's death.
The driver who killed her was able to live as a free man for 4 years before being convicted. So that fact also takes away some of my confidence of being on the streets. I've had the impression that anyone can do what they want, even kill me.
Brazil has a nationwide plan for reducing deaths and injuries on the roads. There's also a range of advertising campaigns on road safety, plus the dry law, which requires drivers and riders in Brazil to have a blood alcohol level of 0. But enforcement is lax, says Cauê Giannini from an association that advocates for the rights of pedestrians in São Paulo.
It was nice on paper, but in practice not applied, so no, it hasn't had any real results. What road safety policy also has to include is reducing speeds, which is something that has been abandoned in the city. There are many ways in which you can make drivers more careful in their movement without directly reducing speed. For example, enforcement is fundamental to any road safety policy. And perhaps because it's bad for those who are trying to get elected, enforcement has been neglected. Imposing fines isn't popular.
In a comment sent to DW, São Paulo City Hall said that it has increased the number of exclusive motorbike lanes, and that where they exist, fatalities almost halved between 2023 and 2024. It also referred to the implementation of traffic calming areas and the largest cycling network in the country. The city also says it aligns its policies with the nationwide plan and that it has applied measures such as raised crossings to slow vehicles down. But nationally, the biggest problem is poor political decisions, some made by former President Jair Bolsonaro. The first blow to this set of safety rules came in 2019 during his administration. He banned new speed cameras on federal highways, prohibited the use of hidden radar cameras, and doubled the minimum number of points needed for drivers to lose their licenses.
A partir de segunda-feira, não pode ter no Brasil mais radar móvel, tá certo? Porque, lamentavelmente, o uso desse equipamento serviu apenas, em grande parte, como caça-níquel, uma pegadinha.
Bolsonaro also stopped the collection of the mandatory insurance that helped traffic accident victims cover medical expenses.
In the past administration, we had a president who talked about traffic, except he spoke against traffic safety.
Só que ele falava contra o trânsito, contra a segurança.
We had setbacks at the institutional level with the change in the traffic code.
No âmbito institucional,
Congress did improve some points there,
alguns pontos ali o Congresso
but
conseguiu
ultimately
melhorar.
it was offenders who ended up benefiting.
O infrator terminou sendo beneficiado.
But some of these measures are still in force under the current government of President Lula da Silva. Congress did not reverse all the relaxed traffic code rules and the ending of the mandatory insurance.
O presidente Lula sancionou a lei que cancela o retorno do seguro obrigatório para veículos, o antigo DPVAT.
But if the figures show there is a traffic death epidemic rivaling that of gun-related deaths, why doesn't the country address the problem?
Imagine hearing that in your city of 200,000 people, 170 people are killed in accidents each year, and it's far more in bigger cities. Why is that? Nobody ever stops to think. That's why no one holds the city leaders to account. And we've just had a municipal election in which this issue didn't come up.
There's a culture of leniency towards traffic violations. Here, when you deploy speed cameras, people say you're creating a fines industry. But like any industry, it needs raw materials. The fines industry doesn't exist because of speed cameras. It's because of traffic violations.
That culture of leniency and perceived impunity continues as road rage and reckless behavior continue to rule, largely unchecked. Experts say the active involvement of civil society would help.
O mundo precisa de paz, porque ninguém merece viver em uma zona de guerra. Merecemos poder andar em paz, sem medo, sentindo que a vida é respeitada.
Public committees are relatively recent and pretty fragile, and we need to fight for them to continue to exist. We need to ensure these bodies are genuinely occupied by civil society to enable qualified discussion.
Elsewhere in the world, cities like Bologna in Italy have invested in policies promoting slower, safer traffic and seen huge results. Further examples include Oslo in Norway or Brussels.
Whoever you are, one day you can leave home feeling nervous or tired. So if you combine everyone makes mistakes with the fragility of the human body, you're obliged to design streets in a way that prevents people from exceeding safe speed limits.
And also important are awareness raising and education campaigns.
uma morte no trânsito a cada 15 minutos no Brasil. Mostram que o número de
But they're not the only factor in solving the problem. And we don't have to go far to find examples. Here in Brazil, the city of Fortaleza is managing to make a difference.
We've had a range of intervention measures that have been widely reported throughout Brazil. Areas that have been redesigned for pedestrians, neighborhoods where traffic was chaotic and there was no proper signage, all in order to reclaim space for residents.
Anyone who sees vehicles moving slowly along the streets of Fortaleza might think this avenue has always been like this. But for the past decade, the state capital of Ceará has been bucking national trends with more placid traffic. The decline only reversed last year, after almost a decade of reduction. What's the secret?
It's a solution that doesn't start from a single factor. There's no point in just trying to educate drivers or just trying to improve roads. So it's a really multidisciplinary effort that happened in Fortaleza. City managers generally embraced road safety as a regional state issue, not a government program.
Safer roads don't exempt Fortaleza from facing the challenges of heavy traffic and congestion, especially during rush hour. But what worked here was simply reversing the way of thinking and prioritizing safety over vehicle speed.
At first, the municipal traffic authority had a very mobility-focused perspective. So the entire technical and operational team had this mindset of, above all, ensuring a smooth flow for cars. And when the traffic authority began to specifically understand this issue of road safety, there was a very radical shift in focus. Because mobility only makes sense if it's safe.
We visited Fortaleza's Mobility Control Center, where operations focus on reducing accident risks. A key aspect here was to intensify enforcement of laws regulating alcohol consumption and speeding.
One of the main factors is speeding, which is a widely accepted point around the world. Fortaleza now has a strong speed adjustment policy. The city's roads are gradually changing to 50 kilometers per hour zones. And there are traffic calming areas with even lower speed limits.
Speed cameras may not be popular with drivers, but here, they help to halve the number of deaths over the past decade. Among other measures to be adopted, streets that force drivers to slow down, raised sections of road, and separate lanes for cars and bicycles on busier roads. Sometimes even painting the street differently can help. These advances are part of Vision Zero, a global initiative that started in Sweden back in 1997. The concept is now part of Brazil's national plan and the strategies of cities like Fortaleza and São Paulo. The goal is to put lives first because no road death is acceptable.
O trânsito não se trata só de carros e motos, ele se trata de gente. E é por isso que precisamos falar sobre vidas. A gente sabe que por melhor preparado que as pessoas estejam, todos podem cometer erros. Mas isso não deve resultar na morte de ninguém, nem na sua, nem de um parente ou um desconhecido. Mas para isso acontecer, todo mundo tem que fazer sua parte, viu?
Making Vision Zero really work here in Brazil requires a solid plan that includes prioritizing safety, better street design, a strong focus on speed management, and all of this always seen through the lens of fairness.
Tactical urbanism is a relatively recent strategy for altering urban space at low cost and with interventions that can be temporary.
E com intervenções que podem ser provisórias. Os principais elementos são simplesmente pinturas.
The main elements are simply markings on the sidewalk or on the road itself, supported by landscaping elements like planters and bollards.
Como balizadores.
If you design streets for people to walk calmly and slowly, to protect pedestrians and cyclists, nobody will die in traffic. So with good communication and effective action, we can achieve fabulous results without it becoming a political issue for anyone.
Political will is a recurring demand when people talk about solutions for Brazil's 5,000-plus cities. For Vision Zero to truly take root, it needs to be part of local government plans, and even more importantly, it has to feature in the public budget.
Nenhum desses temas é bala de prata.
None of these issues come with silver bullets.
Que há uma questão socioeconômica.
There seem to be socioeconomic and urban transport infrastructure factors behind all of this. There's a level of change, including cultural change, that cities need to undergo. Otherwise, we'll continue to face this increase, which, I repeat, is not only happening in Brazil.
Brazil can have safer traffic, even with structural problems. Small urban interventions can make a difference here and there, provided they're combined with various factors, like a good public transport system, urban redesigning to calm traffic, improving enforcement, and encouraging community participation to turn public policy into action. São Paulo is the city where Marina Harkot campaigned for fairer road conditions. A fight that her husband is determined to continue.
A city that accommodates everyone's wishes. A city that isn't just home to work and work to home. A city where a mother can take her children to school or daycare, and with a transit system where she doesn't have to walk long distances or rely on ride-hailing apps. A city where she can ride her bike in peace.
So how can Brazil's roads become safer? Fortaleza is leading the way. If the political will is there, improvement is always possible, as is a reduction in traffic-related fatalities. As for awareness and education, they only work if the message gets through and is backed up by enforcement. As long as citizens and policymakers follow these steps, Brazil does have the potential to reverse the current trend and become an inspiration and a global model for road safety. For more stories on global mobility culture, subscribe to DW Rev.